The Sony FX3 is the most overrated camera I have ever used in my entire life. In this video, I want to talk about why I hate shooting with it and why I think it is one of the worst cameras that I've ever used. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate, and I want to own up to my opinion in this video. I think that the Sony FX3 is a good camera. I think it's just incredibly misunderstood. When I've used the FX3, if I'm using the FX3 in its bare functions, as in camera, lens, and maybe the XLR top handle, I love the camera. I think the camera is a pretty good camera. Has a good sensor, great low light, of course, if you're into that thing. But what I specifically hate is rigging out the camera. I think rigging out the camera is the most ugly, annoying, hard experience I've ever had. I can't think of a harder camera to rig out in my entire life. And I am a Blackmagic shooter. I am the king of terrible rigs. The reason why I hate the FX3 so much is I think it's such a pain because it's just small enough that it doesn't have all the features that I want. Specifically speaking, it's the stupid HDMI port covers that get in the way of your USB covers that also the flaps are weirdly oriented. That's my one beef. And then on the other hand, if you use the XLR top handle, it's not long enough for most people's hands, and so they literally sell kits online to extend the top handle from Tilta or small rig. So you spent $600 on this top handle, and now you're spending another $100 getting extra metal add-ons to a handle that should have been metal to begin with, because I can't think of a handle from any other company that's $600 that's not metal. On top of that, when you put the monitor there, it just looks horrible, and it becomes a vertical camera build. There could be room if it was a little bit wider where you could have your top handle and your monitor separate, or you could move stuff around. I just think the camera functionality is so frustrating to shoot with. Not only does the physical aspects of the camera frustrate me, I think the hand grip is super uncomfortable. I think the sensor is pretty good, but kind of muddy at 12,800 ISO. For spending roughly $5,000 to get a camera and a lens for an FX3, I can't think of a worse value proposition in my opinion. I think the camera is so incredibly frustrating to shoot with. The menus piss me off more than anything. I know they're going to put in the new Sony Burano menus. I've heard that is coming, but it still doesn't seem like it can fix it. And on top of that, when you work with an external monitor, because the screen is 3x4, because the screen is so tiny, you either have to choose to output a clean feed to your external display with none of your settings, or you choose to output no clean feed and the entire image gets put on the monitor and your on-camera screen goes black. It's an either or, and it's terrible, and I hate it. And I don't know why Sony does it like this. So if Sony was watching, how I would fix the FX3 is I would make it a little bit bigger, and I would make the HDMI port covers fit easier. I would make a new top handle that's metal, and then I would redesign the menus again and just make it less confusing, because I think as I've shot with the FX3, it's just a little bit frustrating for me sometimes. It's a camera that I know so many talented people can get great images with, and I think the image is still pretty good. I'm not hating on the actual image. I just think so much of cameras now is usability and style and ease of use and how the philosophies of the company implement in your work. So I think, I've been a very heavy Blackmagic and Red user over the years because both of these companies really made high quality things accessible and simple. And for Sony FX3, it's not simple. When I see people build out an FX3, it completely infuriates me, because whenever I've held an FX3 build, it just is always so hard to get right. However, I could see myself using an FX3 if it was, for example, travel stuff or just out of a backpack. Like if all you're doing is just the camera, the lens, like the camera, the lens, the screen, and maybe the top handle, that camera is really beautiful. And I think they really did cook with the idea of having everything simple and elegant. That's kind of Apple-esque. But once you start needing accessories, like you want an external monitor, and then you have to decide whether you want the screen with the type or not. You have to decide whether you want the status text on the monitor or not. Then you have to figure out where you're going to plug things in, and then when you want to put time code on the side, it just becomes this giant mess, and it ends up being just as big as these other cameras that it's supposed to replace. And so I think for videography, the FX3 is the perfect camera of all time because it has amazing low lights. You never need to light. What a load of BS. It has incredible autofocus. The full frame sensor is great. The E-mount is awesome. A lot of great competitive advantages. And I know a lot of cinematographers that also love the FX3, but I like the FX3 as like a crash cam, like if you're putting it on a car or you're putting it on these things where you want the high quality image. But I mean, Severance used the FX3 in a shot, and so I'm not saying that the image and the sensor is bad. I'm actually just talking about the usability and the workflow of it just frustrates me. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, thank you for watching, and I will see you next week. Peace.